Chiefs Kingdom, what's up, baby? No Gray here, tight end for your Kansas City Chiefs. You're listening to All Chiefed Up with Mike and Steve Williams.
Welcome back to All Chiefed Up. I am Steve. I'm here with Mike. Today we're going to be talking about the tight end room. How many is Kelce going to keep on the roster? Who's going to be there? And what's with all the hype about Jody Fortson? He only caught 5 balls last season before he got that Achilles injury. But we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. But first, we need you guys to subscribe. We are trying to get to 1,000 before the season starts. We're pushing 600 right now, so hit that subscribe button. Mike, what do you got about these tight ends, man?
Well, first and foremost, I think we talked about it briefly in a previous video that you can link, talking about the roster cuts. We said we were going to take 4 tight ends, and looking at it today with this tight end room, I still think 4 tight ends is the way it's probably going to pan out.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be Kelce and Blake Bell, and I think Gray and Fortson will be the remaining 2 tight ends to round out the room.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not out of the question. I think last year they had the same 4 on the roster, so I think that's definitely what they're going to stick with. Jody Fortson, as I alluded to earlier, lots of hype with Jody Fortson. He was a UDFA. I think he was on the practice squad the year that we won the Super Bowl, so he does have a ring. But last year he finally made the team, and it looked like he was starting to make some noise, and then he tore his Achilles and went out for the season. He even got his first NFL touchdown against the Chargers, and he made a couple of really good, like, flashy catches, like, just getting over the top of somebody and mossing them. And so people were really, really hyped about Fortson before he got hurt. So do you think he's going to pick up where he left off, even recovering from the injury, or how do you think that's going to go?
Yeah, I think they're going to use him very similarly. I think when he's on the field, he gives a different dimension to the offense.
Sure.
Patrick can throw the ball up and just let him go get it. I mean, he's 6'6", 240. Yeah. He's a monster. A good stat I found was Mahomes, when targeting Jody Fortson, had a passer rating of 145.4. That is the best by far on the team. Granted, he only threw to him 5, 6, 7 times.
Last season before he got hurt, he was 5 targets with 5 receptions for 47 yards and 2 touchdowns. So not a whole lot to go off of, but he was highly efficient before he got hurt. I mean, 100% catch rate. And like you said, he's 6'6". He's a former wide receiver, so he brings athleticism to that tight end role just the same way Travis Kelce does. And that's been very effective for the Chiefs so far. Now, Fortson, he's not the youngest guy in the world. I think he's 26. So he's got, Kelce's got a few years on him. So, I mean, Fortson's not necessarily going to be your long-term answer, but I think he could bring a lot to the table.
I think we also have Matt Bushman and Jordan Franks on the roster. They're both 26 as well. So that seems to be the magic age that Veach wants to bring in there in the tight end room.
Right. Now, Bushman was also a basketball player. Am I correct? At Baylor?
No, that's Vital. Bushman played at BYU. He was this is only his second year in the NFL, and actually the Raiders brought him in undrafted in 2021. He's got some good size too. He's 6'5", 245, and I heard that he's kind of learning the playbook. He made a few plays there in this last little session together, and Jordan Franks from UCF, he's also 26. He's 6'4", 240. This is his 4th year coming in the not with the Chiefs, but in the NFL. And he was a Bengals pickup UDFA in 2018. So the tight end room is full of guys that don't, they have a lot to prove. They're all undrafted free agents. As you mentioned before, Vital, however he pronounces it. Yeah, he played at Baylor, and he was actually picked up by Seattle. And Seattle cut him. Beach brought him in. He hasn't played since he was in middle school. So crazy.
Yeah.
Whatever Veach sees, he sees something,
Probably just potential. And I mean, the profile of these tight ends that Veach likes to look at now, just very tall and athletic. I'm surprised he didn't take a look at Jelani Woods in the draft, because he was 6'7", and I think he ran like a 4.40 or something like that. So I'm surprised he didn't look that way, to be honest.
Yeah, we were kind of not too big on Jelani Woods, but we had mocked him to the Chiefs, saying that, hey, the Chiefs could use a tight end at some point possibly. And we thought that his profile kind of matched Jody Fortson a little bit, and that could have been something. But yeah, Jody Fortson, massive end zone threat. I think we'll get back this year, and I think he will make the team. I don't think that's a problem. Will he pick up where he left off? I don't know. Sometimes coming back from injuries is a little rough. And Kelce alluded to him being a veteran mentor this year, not just a player trying to make the roster, but he's actually being a good mentor for Bushman, Franks, and Vital. So
right,
he's kind of taking on the role as like, hey, I'm part of this team and I will help the younger guys. But I feel like if you go into that mode, you feel pretty secure thinking you're going to make the roster.
well, yeah, and I think it probably in the same conversation, Kelce alluded to the fact that Jody Fortson might be the hardest worker on the entire team. So, I mean, he is going to have to work hard to come back off that Achilles injuries. Those are not easy to come back from. But I think maybe the fact that we did pass up on tight ends in the draft this year, even with the similar profile like Jelani Woods, maybe that's a good sign as to where Jody Fortson's at. So maybe he's recovering quickly. He's looking good, and they didn't even need to think about that.
They don't want to rush him back. He wants to go full speed, as fast as he can. That's Jody Fortson. He's energy driven, but you don't want to rush an injury like that. Kind of boring, but yeah, the body works as a chain, so when the Achilles gets ruptured, it has to be fixed. Now it weakens your ACL, it weakens your MCL, it weakens, parts of your foot.
Right.
That has to be healed properly, or you'll just start breaking down in order, and then it'll slide to your hip. Lucas Niang's had a little problem with that. So, it's one thing after another. Hip injuries can lead to ACLs, vice versa. It's a big chain, and these dudes put a lot of stress on their body. They're big athletes. So, I mean, yeah, they work hard, and you can't rush them back, but I think he'll be back ready to go by the season. I think he's got a roster spot.
Oh, for sure. He's definitely going to make the team. Like I said, they're going to keep 4, just like last year. I think Noah Gray, he might not offer you what Jody Fortson does, and maybe he's not in that position to come in and, take over Kelce's role later on when Kelce gets a little older and everything. But he does offer you a lot of special teams ability. They level him on special teams, so that's going to help him. So I think he stays on the roster. Jody Fortson, like I said, he must be recovering pretty good. And if he comes out and he's even, a fraction of as efficient as he was last season, that's going to be huge to have that security blanket for Mahomes. And then Blake Bell, he's going to make the team. A lot of people are writing him off and acting like he's not going to make the team, but Blake Bell's been around for a minute, and he's one of the best blocking tight ends we got. And of course, Kelce, he's getting up there in age. He's not old yet or anything like that, but they have to start preserving him a little bit and quit giving him so many snaps, because he can't just keep taking all the snaps 100% of the time, because, I mean, he's getting a little older, and we want to extend, his lifespan, not just have him out there beating him to death, right?
Right. Kelce's got that rare combination. Like, he does block really well. I know people will say Kittle's better, blah, blah, blah. Kelce blocks very well. He's got some of the best hands in all of football. He does have a drop problem every once in a while. He'll get those little butterfingers working, and we're like, Kels, what are you doing? But anyways, yeah, Bell has to make the roster. Bell blocks really well. Bell he runs good routes. He has good hands, but his thing is blocking. Fortson is the exact opposite. Fortson's not a great blocker, but Fortson's 6'6". It's hard to keep people out from under your pads when you're 6'6".
Right.
So, and I think Noah Gray kind of gives a little both. Noah Gray's kind of got the potential to be the all-around player like Kelce is,
right.
But Noah has to learn the playbook. And coming out of Duke, this is a big changeover from the Duke offense, and this is like his 3rd or 4th year now. So, but we do think they'll stick with him, and that'll be the 4 they bring into camp. I think Franks, Bushman, and Vital, they're projects, but I do believe they probably don't crack the roster this year.
Yeah, well, I'm going to correct you. I think Noah Gray's actually 2 years in. I don't think he's at the 3 or 4 mark.
Really? I was thinking this was his 3rd full season.
I think he was a rookie last year. Was he
really?
not? Yeah.
I thought last year was a 2nd year. I don't know. Somebody put it in the comments.
Pretty sure he was a rookie last year. But yeah, there's some potential there. And I think our tight end room's looking good. And having all 4, it opens up a lot of things. I think, we've been speaking on Jody Fortson, his first NFL touchdown. I believe it was against the Chargers. And I think if you go back and look at the tape, they actually had 3 tight ends on the field at the same time. It was down on the goal line, probably 2 or 3 yard line. They had 3 tight ends on the field. So, of course, with that many tight ends on the field, a lot of the DBs and linebackers from the Chargers, once that ball was snapped, The play action, they come down. Like, they thought it was a run play. You got three tight ends in there. They think that they're in there to block. So they crashed down. Fortson just cut over the middle, and Mahomes just threw it up in the air to where no one could get it but Jody.
Hey, you were right about Noah Gray, by the way. He was drafted 162nd overall by the Chiefs in 2021. I don't know. That's crazy. Like, I tell you, man, my memory, everything, I'm getting old. Yeah, it's hard to remember this stuff,
Yeah, it's all good. But hey, I'm excited to see how this tight end room performs because, like I was saying earlier, you can't just beat Travis Kelce to death at this stage in his career. So I think they are going to put more onto Jody Fortson and possibly Noah Gray as far as pass catching. Now, Blake Bill's still going to be Blake Bill. He's going to come in there. He'll catch a pass every now and then, but he's mainly going to be there for the blocking. But I think, as long as their health's good, as far as Fortson coming back off the injury and everything, I think he's going to get a lot of looks.
Yeah, I do too. I think Jody Fortson makes the team. I think he plays. That's one thing Patrick didn't have last year. He don't really have the guy that he can just throw it up and go get it. I mean, Tyreek was too small for that. Like, he often lost jump balls. Demarcus Robinson wasn't somebody that did that. That's not Blake Bell's forte. Kelce can do it. That's about it. Like, that's all he had this year. He's got a lot of receivers that can go get a jump ball. So
for sure,
be a lot different looking offense.
Yeah, Jody Fortson, he had flashes last year that really got Chiefs Kingdom excited. Like I said, he mossed a couple people, and he can go up and get that high thrown ball in the red zone. So I think that's why people so big on Jody Fortson. They're, we've said this about a lot of other people. I mean, maybe hold your expectations just a little bit. Don't put too much on the guy because he's coming off an Achilles injury. But I think he has every bit of the potential to be what everyone thinks he can be. So, I mean, I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, I think for the season this year, I project them to have somewhere between 20 to 30-ish catches and maybe like 5-6 TDs if everything goes well. That's about what I would say he'll come out with. I don't want to try to guess yardage.
No.
Patrick's going to have a lot of throwing yards this year, but we got a lot of mouths to feed, and it's going to be tough seeing how this is dispersed. It could be one of those where every week, pick your poison. There may be a new 100-yard receiver every week on this team, and you don't know who it's going to be.
Very well could be, but I'm with you. I think Jody, kind of the over-under is around 5 on his touchdowns. But, you never know. He could come out and surprise us. He could be a huge part of the offense next season. It's just – we have to see what Andy Reid wants to do with this new look offense. I mean, the possibilities are endless here, and Andy Reid is a genius when it comes to play calling and making plays. So I'm excited to see what he does with this team, looking a little bit different, a little taller, longer, and better hands. Like, all around, this team catches more balls. So,
yeah, excited to see it. I think the Chiefs offense hits another level this year that people are sleeping. I just seen the other day they rated our receiving core one of the bottom 10 in the NFL. Like, come on, guys, you can't. I mean, dude, the more people sleep on KC, the better it's going to be when we beat them.
I'm telling you, we could hit that other gear this year because there's just a lot of opportunity there. And you have to remember, even if you think some of these receivers are mid, like MVS or Juju, you always hear that about those guys, or McCole. I mean, you got to remember Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback now. So you got an elite quarterback, unless you go by PFF rankings. For some reason, their formula seems to think that he's an average quarterback last season, which is hilarious. But you got these guys like MVS and Juju that are coming in. They're playing with Mahomes for the first time. He's going to create a lot more than what they're used to. I mean, I know MVS was with Rodgers, and Rodgers is known for that kind of thing as well, but Rodgers is not what Rodgers was, 8 years ago. But
Rodgers gets very focused on Devontae Adams. They force-fed him probably 12, 15 catches and throws per game. So MVS had trouble getting over that. In this offense, there's a lot of mouths to feed, but MVS is that vertical threat. So all the balls that we would have took the shot with Tyreek, I think MVS gets those. And Mahomes throws them up pretty good. I mean, if MVS can time his jump really well, it's going to be tough for him to not come down with most of those passes,
Yeah, as long as those guys get on board with keeping the play alive and getting used to Mahomes stretching plays out and just make sure they're still trying to get open, I think we're going to see a lot of good backyard football, reminiscent to, I believe it was the 2018 year when Mahomes went absolutely ape for 50 touchdowns. I think we could see something like that this year.
Yeah, I think we'll come back later. Let us know in the comments if you want to see it, but we'll probably come back later with the wide receiver room, talk about who we think's going to make the roster, what they're going to do this season, who we think they'll cut. We kind of mentioned it in the video that Steve had linked previously, talking about the 53 man, but we'll dig into it a little deeper and talk about the wide receiver room. I think everybody's kind of intrigued about wide receivers and our running back room. They're pretty stacked. From a Chiefs fan standpoint, everybody else seems to think it's all just stacked with mediocrity, but I think they're just blowing smoke to themselves to make themselves feel better. But
I think so, because they're in for it. I think it could be a big season for the Chiefs. All right, guys, make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button. Like we said, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the season starts. Just hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends to get over here and watch some videos about the Chiefs. You know they want to. Also, hit the notification bell. That way you get notifications when we have new videos coming out, and make sure to like the video as well. Mike, any last words for Chiefs Kingdom here?
No, I think I'm good.
All good. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate it. Leave us some comments. We'll talk to you. Until next time, peace out.
See ya.
Baby, you're the one for me. Baby, you are meant for me. I'm madly in love with you.